Hi, welcome back to the LaunchPoint Leader Podcast. My name's Lori.
And this is Beau.
And we are so excited to be back here another week just to share with you a story that a listener has written in on where they're at in their leadership journey and just give some input, advice, share stories from when we've been in similar situations in our careers. And if anyone else listening has something you'd like to write in, we'd love to hear advice@launchpointleader.com. So we'll get right into it. Today it says, Dear LaunchPoint, I'm not sure if this is something you would cover on the podcast or just even give advice by replying to this email, but I'm looking for any and all ideas. I'm a small business owner, and for the last 6 months, I've been looking to fill a necessary new role on my team. My business currently has 3 people, including myself, and the demand has outgrown what we can handle. Everyone is working 50 plus hours a week, and even then, there are always things left undone when we leave. This has been an issue for about 8 months, which is why we started looking for someone new at the beginning of this year. I expected to fill the role quickly, but here we are midway through the year in the same place we began. I've interviewed a few people, and since posting, we've adjusted the pay rate and promoted the opportunity extensively on our website. I've even visited job fairs in the town we work in. We have offered the job to a couple of people, but they have turned it down in the end to take different opportunities. So, what I'm looking for you both are suggestions on what has worked for you to recruit people for your businesses. Also, if you've been through this situation before, I know I'm not the only one who's been through this, but it feels like I am alone in this right now. Thank you for your time and helping me maintain my sanity. Hiring, hold up.
Sanity is probably questionable if you're a business owner.
Yeah.
I think maybe we want to get that established at
It's
this
all
point.
relative. It's all relative.
Well, I think kudos to this listener for whatever business and company you started. I mean, having 3 people, is that correct? Or 4
Yes,
total?
currently there are 3 looking for a 4th.
I mean, so it sounds like it's a startup and it's going well because we're working 50 plus hours a week. So I think there's some good things to take from that. I think, yeah, this is a hard one. I'm not what I would say a hiring expert, but we have done it for several decades. And so I give you the insight that I would start with. And the first thing I would say has nothing to do with hiring, but it has more to do with the mindset that this listener is writing from.
Mm.
Those 50 plus hours a week in these early stages of the business, um, that is paying the price. And whenever you do something great, whenever you take a leap of faith and you go and bring something to the world, you're going to have to pay the price. And so I think, yes, you need this other team member, and I'm definitely not denying that. But at the end of the day, realize that this is part of that process of establishing your business only 8 months in, and you're establishing yourself, your company, how you do certain things. So I don't think this is uncommon. I actually tell people when you start a new business or take over a company, I'm typically looking in the 18 to 24-month range before it starts to look like me, feel like me, and before I start to be able to get a little bit of my sanity back and a little bit of my outside life back. So that's the first thing. Beyond that, some maybe tactical advice. And this one is for me personally. Through 2 decades of trying to find the right people at our businesses, I have always found that if I'm not in constant prayer personally about the right people joining the company and then being available, I'm not saying that that solves everything, but I have found that when we're struggling, I often see that I'm not praying for it. So just something to think about. Outside of that, um, is there anything in the company that you're looking for in this role that you can outsource or you can automate? If there are experts out there that know how to do it and there's already staff to do it, then, maybe consider taking the time and energy that you're spending trying to find this person and use a company that's already doing it. If it's not, then maybe take a look at your postings and where your postings. We found that multiple sites create much more, eyeball awareness for potential team members. So if it's just on your website and it's just, on your social media, that's not nearly enough. So make sure that you're looking at other sites that are hiring sites. And I would say really review what, with clear eyes, review what your descriptions and what everything looks like. Is it professional? Is it catchy? Is it, is it something that'll catch and hook somebody's attention when they're scrolling through? Because, when you're looking for a job, I mean, you're scrolling, right? And so is your job description really something that'll catch somebody's eye? Next one I would say is you gotta pay to boost. You have to boost your job postings on these sites. If you do not do that, you will get left behind.
Lost so
I mean,
easily.
you really are. And then even beyond that, I would say you need to refresh that job posting, even if it's just a few tweaks. You need to refresh it about every 10 to 14 days. 2 reasons. 1, it gives it a fresh look, but 2, it helps it to bump back up in the search results when it comes to kind of an analytics thing with that. So, um, that's kind of where I would start. And I don't know, maybe one other point would just be, what is the job title? Because we have found sometimes that if you just simply make the job title sound a little zestier, it brings in maybe a different caliber of person, or it might, kind of become a better opportunity for people to click on.
Yeah, just catch their eye in the first place.
Yeah.
Maybe it passes by in a sea of all the same. If all the job titles are titled the same, yours would stand out
Yep.
with just a little bit extra there.
That's
That's
right.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me take it back. Oh, you go ahead.
No, go right
Yeah.
ahead.
Take it back to the beginning of where you had said,
Yeah.
kind of the mindset piece. So you talked about paying the price a little bit, which I think is something you've spoken about before and is so important as a concept to a leader. But how do you think that's communicated, especially in a group this small? He's leading a business of 3 other people. How do you communicate that? And what does that look like for your 3 team members? Because it looks different than it
Yeah.
does for the leader.
It does, but I think when those 3 team members signed up to do what they're doing, they knew what they were signing up for with regards to it being a startup, a small business, a very small team. I think when you're one of those first 3, there's an element of buy-in that you already had to have.
Yeah, feels that some level of ownership there.
Yeah, to join that team. But I think in order to keep it that way, I would just, you know, make sure that they have transparency and insight into what you're doing to
Mm.
hire somebody.
Yeah, that's good.
I wouldn't show frustration over it with them. And I know when it's that kind of an intimate working environment, it's easy to become like family and not like leader and team
Yeah, it's like
members.
you've got to turn it from one side of your personality with them that they probably see working
Yeah.
this many hours to I am the leader in this
Yeah.
situation.
Because the last thing that you want is to have negativity around the amount or the type of work that you're doing,
Mhm.
because that is going to bleed over to them. 50 plus hours a week, when you're doing something you love and you feel like you're making a difference,
Yeah,
it's not as taxing.
right.
But if you have that mindset of, oh man, when are we going to get somebody else? And that's coming from the head,
Yeah.
the rest of the body's going to react the
Mhm.
same way. So I think it's continue to keep them updated, ask them for their input and ideas, help them to remember why we're doing this, why you started the company in the first place, why
Yeah,
they said yes in the first place, and let them know that we'll get through it. It might not be tomorrow that
right.
we have somebody hired, but we will get through it and that you appreciate their work. And I think that's the other side of it too, is like, is there anything else that you can do to show appreciation for them, whether it's monetary or uh, just words of affirmation? I mean, there's so much that we overlook that might help
Yeah.
them.
That's awesome. That's a great point too. Really those, I think transparency and appreciation are the 2 words that stood out to me there of like, that's going to help them
Yeah.
through that process as you as the leader know at the highest level, like with the truest sense of ownership there, that sense of paying the price, but doing the work to make sure down the line you're covering yourself so that you can get out of that one day so you don't get stuck in there forever. Um, I also really like the point of looking for opportunities like outsource and automate.
Yeah.
Maybe do you have some examples of times you've outsourced or automated things like when you couldn't do them in the
Gosh,
moment?
yeah. I mean, so something as simple as in one of the restaurants that we've got, it's outsourcing cleaning the floors at the end of the night.
Yes.
I mean,
Mhm.
and it costs money,
It does.
but the reason we did it is because typically in the evenings, we have younger team members working, and typically they are 18 or less. And so, they were, scrubbing the floors in a fast food restaurant at the end of the night. It's actually it's a chore.
It
It takes
is.
a lot of time, and, you've probably done it a couple
Yeah,
times.
1
I
or
have too.
2.
Yeah, 1 or 2. And so it was like this idea we were starting to lose members of our team because their parents were like, "My kid is not staying past this
This
time."
time.
And even
Mhm.
though we were within the legal rights of what they signed up for, the parents were like, "Look, we're not letting them work here. They gotta go to school
Right, they've been
tomorrow."
at school all
That's
day.
right. They've still
Mhm.
got homework to do. So we found and we tried this, and a couple of them didn't work. A couple of companies didn't work, but we finally found the right one to outsource to, and we've done it for years now, and every month I look at that line item and I'm like, "Oh my goodness." But then I think about the cost of losing the people that already know how to do the job that they're doing, the cost of rehiring. So that's one example, that we've got. We outsourced answering phones at one point as well. Now we've brought it back in-house, but it's a remote team member or multiple remote team members answering the phone that are connected to our service. So, that we've outsourced with marketing agencies before to create some campaigns and some, some logos and that kinda stuff. So, they're all out there. Anything that you're looking for is out there. The question is the price that you're gonna pay for their expertise worth it to you to get some of this off of your plate as you're still maybe looking for that right fit in that next hire?
Yeah, those are great examples. The floor crew actually was not on my mind, but when you brought it up, I sat up a little higher.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
consider
you
that
did.
like my favorite achievement. I was running one of your restaurants when that was put in place, and
So, of all the things in my leadership
uh-huh.
journey with you, that is the moment.
When people at Chick-fil-A ask me what's my favorite moment at Chick-fil-A, I say when we got the floor crew because I was leading a lot of
Done.
those nights, and
Yes.
that just really like it my team felt restored, felt
Yeah.
refreshed, felt like I just remember being able to like we cut closing in more than half. If any of you worked in food service,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know the floors are just a huge part of it and pulling everything out, especially with the cleanliness standards that we have. Like
Yeah.
it's very high. So floor crew, a great example. It really just brought me back that sense of victory,
Yeah, I
honestly.
will say also, if the floor crew is, perhaps listening,
Thank
we
you.
have brought you guys a lot of other additional business from other businesses too, so a cut would be great. But
I'm just saying thank you. That's
yes.
what I'm here to
Okay,
say.
fair
Thank you,
enough,
floor
fair
crew.
enough. So outsource and automate. So if
Mhm.
you're looking for floors to be cleaned in this four-person
Right?
company,
Mhm.
we got you.
We've got that. If
Hit us
that's
up.
one of the jobs you're doing in your 50-hour week.
That's
But no
right.
matter what, I think it's a good reminder that little things like that can make a big difference that me 5 years later is still talking about, that the team
Has it been that long? That
it's been about 5 years, since we got the floor
man,
crew.
okay.
And so something like that can just really give that breath of fresh air your team might need right now.
Mm.
So I think it's a good way to think creatively outside of we can't do anything till we hire this person.
Yeah, I love that you said that breath of fresh air because, yeah, if there's anything as that leader that you can think of for that, I think that's such a critical thing that you just mentioned is like, is there anything that just goes, ah, to that team? So I think that's a great point there. Great point.
Absolutely. And some really creative ways in here beyond that, as we get back from working on your current team to the most important task here, finding that person that's
Sure.
going to eventually relieve that pressure, doing things like updating descriptions, keeping job titles fresh, investing money in boosting, and just doing a full evaluation. I also had written down like find a trusted person to look through your job descriptions that's outside of your business and see like if you are
Yes.
looking for a job, is this something that would pique your interest? Could
Yep.
be a great way to do that.
Absolutely.
So just some really good nuggets of wisdom
Yeah.
here
Great.
to be able to use. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think, just don't overlook the referral piece with your team as well. You found them some way,
That's
and they
true.
have friends and they have family, and so maybe there's not somebody that they know in this expertise area that you're looking for, perhaps, but don't overlook the fact that you've got 3 other people there that also have a network of
Of their
people,
own. Yeah,
right? And
that's
so
true.
take their suggestions, ask them to for their help, and then reward them if they bring you somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Hiring hold up. Thank you for writing in today and just sharing where you're at in your journey right now. I hope this has been some tactical advice. And also, you got to hear, like you said at the end of your email, you're not alone in this. This is
No.
something every business owner has been through. will go through again at some point in their journey. But doing things like that can help shorten these spans that you have those troubles. If anybody else listening has something on this topic or something completely different they want to write down on, we would love to hear it and just share your journey with you. You can write us in at advice@launchpointleader.com. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.